First question then, and again, it's to do with your definition of success. And if you wouldn't mind, I'd love for you to go into a bit more detail with regards to, with NYP, I've divided life up into 6 areas. So we talk about health and fitness, we talk about wealth and sort of financial well-being, we talk about psychological well-being, your career, your family and community, and then sort of self-actualization. So if you wouldn't mind sort of giving me a brief sort of understanding for yourself what success looks like for each of those areas. So for example, for health and fitness, what does it mean for you to be successful for yourself with regards to your own health and fitness?
Health and fitness, I mean, for me, it's just about whether I can get out and work out, say, 4 or 5 times a week. I love playing sports, and I like to be competitive in those from a fitness standpoint. So it's more really measured on whether or not I'm winning at those sports, but also if I feel good and I have energy.
That's cool.
Psychological, so I'm pretty big on writing, and I think it's really important to reflect and understand where your head's at all the time so that you know where you're trying to go and whether you're in the right state to get there. I think a lot of my psychological balance is really just staying driven and staying cool in all situations so that you don't get stressed out, you don't get unhinged or anything under stress, but you're able to manage that and turn it into something good.
That's cool. So do you have that as part of, you say you write, is that part of a journal? Do you have a journal that you keep, or do you have because one of the questions I was going to ask you later on was about routines.
Yeah, I definitely meditate. I don't have anything structured from a writing standpoint, but I've never been somebody that got overly stressed out when things got high pressure, but I've only ever gotten stressed out when I have a lot of things to do. So when I do get in those situations, I just usually making a list of it helps, but it's not anything super structured there.
That's cool though. No, that's really interesting, because that's something that as part of my journey, what I was doing when I transitioned from my sort of being employed by somebody else to start to do this, the biggest thing for me was writing stuff down. But like you, it wasn't structured. And then meditation came along, and I used Headspace, and now I just use YouTube videos. But it's definitely noticeable when you don't do it, on how your day goes.
Yeah, it's the same with working out, right? You only notice it when you stop.
yeah. No, that's really cool. That's really good. That's wicked. So, I was going to ask you later on, with regards to the journaling and the meditation, is that something you'd always done, or was it something that you were sort of introduced to, or?
So I started when I was near the back part of college with meditating, and with writing, I started right when I started my company.
Right.
Just because I wanted to have kind of a catalog of my thoughts as I went through it. It's just something I jump back to every now and then, but in the last, say, 2 years or so, I probably have only written reflectively once or twice, but I write a lot of blog posts and things like that nowadays.
So you're already getting it out.
What'd you say?
So you're already getting it out, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. So once I started doing that, it stopped being such a necessity for me to write in my personal journal. But it's always been a positive thing for me, and I think for anybody who's handling a lot of information, writing helps you process.
Yeah, that's cool. Excellent. Sweet. So what about some of the other areas then? So let's talk about you pick one.
Sure. I'll just run down your list here. So next is wealth.
Yeah.
That lines up with career, right?
Well, because it's obviously one of the things that I found with myself and talking to other people was, especially in the UK, nobody likes to talk about money. It's a bit different in the States, but nobody here likes to talk about money. I remember my first mentor asking me what I wanted to do, and I got very defensive, and I was like, I'm not money orientated. And then he's like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to go on holidays with my kids. I want to have a nice house. I want to do all these things. And it's like, okay, but how are you going to do them without money? So it's kind of, your definition of what it means to be wealthy, whether it's to empower yourself or things that you can then do with that money. It's strictly your interpretation of what that means. But it is to do with money. And if it's run alongside your career, then yeah, that works as well.
Sure. So I definitely do enjoy making money, and that's something that is a big part of my career ambitions. But the way that I make it, I only want to do it in ways that also benefit somebody else with the companies that I'm doing. So I would never really be just a straight investment manager.
Yeah.
It's not really my personality. But I like building a company like Better Walk, which we just turned to BW Health. But it's cool to sell products that help people, to be one of the few companies that's really innovating in the space, and to be making money doing that. I find that really fun.
So with regards to then that sort of wealth dimension then, do you have any aspirations? So you've just said that you've changed it to BW Health. Do you have any intentions to then set up a charity or to do something where you specifically give money to certain organizations, or do you have your own organization that you're looking to build? Or
yeah, I really like doing things myself because I'm pretty control oriented with how things should run.
Yeah.
I've started, not officially launched, but I've started doing some charitable stuff personally. So I started a scholarship just this year at my old high school.
Cool.
It's part of an initiative that I'm trying to grow, but the focus on that is to give kids perspective of some sort. So I really want to create situations where people are able to grow by experiencing something that they haven't before. And that's my charitable mindset. So however I can help enable that, that's kind of where I put.
I suppose because that fits in nicely with people, especially when you're saying about scholarships to go to high school, and then if they guys decide to go on to university, people can get so much more from those experiences rather than the bit of paper with a diploma on, or the degree or something like that.
Agreed. Yeah. The degree school, because if you get out of the place that you grew up, going to college will put you in a situation where you're around like a totally new group of people, but it's not so alone like the real world. Everybody wants to be your friend, and it's easy to get along with people. Yeah. And then the nice stepping stone into the real world. But there's a point, I don't know, for me, it was like 3 years into school where I wasn't really learning anything that I wanted to use anymore. Yeah. So that's actually, I left after 3 years.
Oh, did you?
I've been building it since. Yeah, I did.
Nice. Well, no, I'm similar. I have conversation. It was really bizarre because I pretty much went through the entire education system myself, then through university, then did a teaching postgrad, then became a teacher for like 10 years, to then go back and say, I don't like the way teaching's done. And my degree and everything that I did in university, a bit like you, is more about the experiences rather than actually what you got out of it at the end. You know, the bit of paper with my degree on has not got me anywhere. If anything, basketball is the only reason that I got any of my jobs. You know, because I got a scholarship to go to university to play basketball, and then I met my wife, who was at the time playing sort of semi-pro as well, and then my first job was via her mum at a school, and you know, take away the university, they were just people that were sort of along the journey, but it's the people you meet along that journey that made it far better. And I'm sure you had a similar thing.
Yeah, I mean, exactly that. Every opportunity I've had has been from my business. School was cool, and they've given me a lot of support along the way, but I really, really think that you can't achieve a new level of growth until you're out there on your own doing it. And the sooner you can get into that, the better. Yeah.
Cool. That's brilliant, yeah. So yeah, jump into your next one. So, well, as we were talking about kind of career then, think about what does it mean, so what does success now look like for you with regards to a career? And that could be for you from a work-life balance, or from a building a career or a business. You know, what does success mean for you with regards to your career?
Honestly, just winning in business as much as I can. And that comes from growth, that comes from revenue, that comes from impact. We had a moment where not only did a pro athlete use one of our crutches, which was awesome, but a woman who was a piano teacher, was on regular crutches. They were hurting her so much she couldn't actually continue playing.
Right.
She switched to art, and all of a sudden she was out of pain, able to play again. And like both of those are very different, but still huge wins for me.
Yeah.
So it's pretty exciting to be involved with something that helps people like that, but also to have something that cements the business side of it, like to prove the business case, like, hey, there's real value here.
Somebody sees it, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wicked. Now that, to be fair, yeah, because it sort of like sums up quite nicely. It fits in nicely what you were saying with regards to your wealth. Yeah, just winning. But I suppose for you, it's having that impact, being able to it be measurable as well, but actually being able to see it have an impact. And like you say, from the pro athlete to the pianist, you know, and all of a sudden in the back of your mind you go, I knew it was going to work, and I knew this could happen. But then to see those two different people engage with it, you're like, oh yeah, it is working.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's really cool. So what about then with regards to family and community? So with regards to maybe relationships with your own family, the people around you, what does that look like with regards to success for you? Is it time with them? Is it time in your community? Is it a balance of both? You know?
I think my family lives on the other side of the country, so I don't see them as much as I'd like to. But I mean, we talk a lot. I think it's really just like a kind of being there for them when they need it, and vice versa, and also just that's a hard question, because like maintaining family is so much more complex.
Yeah.
Like there's so much going on. There's so many people to support, and I also have a tendency to like get really, really absorbed in my work.
Yeah.
So balancing that desire to improve and to win and to get better with making sure I'm there to support people when they need it.
Yeah.
So that's something that's definitely tougher for me, which is like really making sure I dedicate time. But I mean, I love my family. Like it's fun talking to them. So. And
I think that's especially when you, like you say, there's lots of different variables to take into consideration when you're dealing with family, whether it's your own family, you know, whether it's your partner's family, because everyone's definition of being close to their family is different, you know. So where I live now here in the UK, in Yorkshire, is my wife's family's all from around here. So I see them more than I see my family, but I'd still rather spend time with my family. But they live 300 miles, you know, south. But it's a similar thing, you know, everyone's definition of what it means doesn't necessarily characterize the relationship to be any different. It's just how it's sort of operated.
Yeah, and the way I kind of see it is, if I'm not able to be there every day, hopefully I do things that reflect well upon my family.
That's cool.
That would be the goal.
Yeah. Oh, wicked. That's really sweet. So what have we got? So how about your, what else did we get into? So self-actualization then, what does that look like for you? So working on improving yourself, or do you have a vision of what that means for you?
I work as hard as I can whenever I'm working on anything. No matter what portion of life, no matter which of these categories it's in, a pretty grueling work ethic when it comes to making one of those better. So I've always kind of been like that. I just want to be as good as I can at all of these categories. I think your breakdown is really nice, because that's how I segment out a lot of my life as well. But having the self-actualization for me is really the one that branches over everything else here. Yeah. Because without that, you can't do anything else.
No, that's the one thing that I really love about MYP is it's all the dimensions. They're intricate and they deal with each other. You know, so like, the self-actualization is that umbrella that once you've got all the other ones in balance, you can then truly start to self-actualize by your own definition. And that sort of leads nicely then into the next question, which is, in your mind then, for you, what does it mean for you yourself to maximize your potential? What does that look like for you?
That's a really good question. I think it's impact. Impact I can leave on the world. That's how I measure it. And that is a mixture of people that I'm able to impact either personally or through work.
Yep.
Or it's that mixed with any sort of financial contributions and impact I can make there. But for me, I've always been one to count things in terms of reach that I have. Not like social media, but like actual physical reach.
Yeah, because it's very easy to appear to have a big reach because you have followers or you've got so many likes on Facebook. But actually people who can say, oh, I know what Partha is and I know what he does. And I always have a thing with, whenever we deal with people, sort of NYP's thing is to have the greatest positive impact on the most amount of people. Whether that's straight up one-to-one with our service or somebody who uses our service and then takes something they've learned and shared it with their kids. You know, and even if it's just to have their kids just take one thing that their parents learnt, you know. And I mean, I don't know if I'm not sure. Well, you've not got any kids at the minute, have you?
I haven't what?
You haven't got any kids at the minute? No. So I know as soon as I had kids, it was all of a sudden it was like you're aware of everything that this child is going to learn is pretty much a reflection of what you're doing, which can be super daunting and really cool if you can get it in the right way.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, well, that's really cool. No, that's a wicked definition of what it means for you, because that's the one thing I like about it. It's very, very different. With regards to then starting your business, so this main business now that you've got, this BW Health, what was your biggest hurdle to get over at the beginning, or hurdle that you've had so far?
It was getting my head in the right place, believe it or not. Everything in the world is, in my opinion, pretty easy or achievable if you have determination and persistence.
Yeah.
But getting your head in a mindset where any sort of negative or setback doesn't matter to you at all. Using a basketball analogy, Kobe has this line where he says he'd rather go 0 for 30 than 0 for 6, because 0 for 6 means he gave up.
Yeah. You can only hit the shots that you take.
Yeah, exactly. So going with that mindset into the world, regardless of whether it's family or wealth or psychological, whatever aspect of your life it is, I think you can't ever be afraid to fail. If you have a flaw, you should be able to admit it, but you should also know that you're always working to get better.
Nice, that's brilliant, I love that. If you had to go back, I don't know, say to your tail end of college when you were about to drop out, to start your businesses, and you could give yourself some advice that you've learnt now, what would that piece of advice be?
Honestly, younger me wouldn't have listened to older me. So, I don't know what to say to him, but to anybody who's in that situation, to just trust your gut and make sure that you're rock solid in your mentality. Because nothing can shake you if you really want to go where you're trying to go.
I know the answer to this one now, because I was about to ask you now, what do you attribute to your success? So I'm going to be, it's your rock solid intentions and sort of your mindset towards what you're going to do. Is that what you'd attribute?
Well, yeah, I'll give you a quick story here. When I started the company, it was actually like the first week I'd started it. I met with an investor, and he asked me, the investors always ask this question, what would make you fail? Because they want to know the risks of the business. Yeah. But, I mean, I said nothing, and he got upset at me, and he said, what do you mean nothing? I said, okay, look, if you want to know what the risks are, I can tell you what the risks are. But regardless of all of the risks, I can also tell you that this thing is going to succeed or I'm going to die. Like one or the other. I'm not one of those entrepreneurs that's going to quit if things are bad. I'll put everything I have into it. So I didn't have an answer to that question. Is what would make it fail is my death would make it fail, but that's it.
Yeah. That's where you've come from and where you've sort of the journey you're on now. What do you see the next 5 years looking like for you and for BW Health?
I think it's going to be a mixture of new products and growth for the company. Really, our whole focus is innovating durable medical equipment. So that's like crutches, walkers, wheelchairs, walking boots, that whole sector. Nobody's really touched it in so long, and nobody really has the engineering know-how in that space that our company has. So I have, really, really amazing talent in-house, and we're pretty well primed to be able to make a lot of things better in that space. And the way we do it is we make everything cost neutral so that hospitals don't have to spend more to get better products.
Right.
So we also believe healthcare is a little too big in the U.S., a little overly paid for, so we're trying to fix that.
Yeah, and the scary thing is it's starting to become more like that in the UK as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely something. No, that's really cool. I really like that, because having experienced many broken ankles and arms through basketball, I can look at the equipment that's been used through the last 20 years. Like you say, it's not changed. They still use these horrible things that they used 15 years ago. So yeah, I think that's a really nice place, especially if you can start to see and already have in your mind what the next cast for somebody's foot looks like, or like you say, the walkers, or the next sort of version of your crutches. You know, that's cool that you see it. So what about you then? What does it look like for you then for the next 5 years?
Personally, no idea. I really, really, really just focused on building.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't think that I plan too much on the personal side of my life. I think that would hurt the authenticity of it.
I suppose then you could say that actually, and this is sort of like a characteristic of people who have become successful with what they do, the personal side becomes what you do with work, because that's who you are.
It's probably true. And on the work side, I have, like 100-year plans for what I want to do. But on the personal side, maybe I feel I would jinx it, or I don't know what, but I just don't want to end up in a situation where I have like deadlines in my life for different things to happen, or I'm trying to force things. And I think that I can let flow naturally, and somehow in the professional life naturally has actually gone according to plan, so let it happen.
That's cool. I suppose though, from the meditation side of you, you've already seen it, you're in that place where you understand how it's going to go, and these things don't just accidentally happen, you're already starting to see how it all looks for you.
Yeah, I think that I have a pretty good idea of exactly how building the company will go. There haven't really been too many wrong turns, or if there's any setbacks, it's just a slight thing, but nothing major. So, and been lucky so far.
And I bet that ties back in though to, like you said at the beginning, when that investor asked you, "What's the reason this is going to fail?" and you're saying, "I can tell you the risks, and any problem that you have along the way is not a problem that's going to derail you. It's just a learning curve. It's just something that you learn. Okay, so I'm not going to do it that way. We're going to do it this way."
Exactly. And I know exactly what I'm trying to do with the business as I grow. I know exactly what's supposed to happen. So I've been lucky because it's been more of a matter of knowing what things are supposed to feel like as we grow and seeing that feeling materialize. So kind of just like watching it happen more than actually like making it happen. Yeah. I think that's a feature that our problem set, our need that we're solving resonates with a lot of people. And I think we've been really fortunate that because what we're doing, our mission is so real with especially the U.S. healthcare system, so many people want to get involved and are helping us move forward. So it's been not just me and my employees, but it's been the thousands of people that I've met who have all made amazing introductions and helped things really progress.
Which then comes back to your mindset of that impact then, isn't it?
Exactly that. I think everybody's on the same page about how to make things better, and just takes somebody to start doing it.
Cool. Oh, that's wicked. So my last question then is just, and you mentioned this sort of before in today's chat, and then the one before we talked about it, but do you have any sort of specific morning or daily routine? Or things that you try and make sure you fit in during a day?
Nothing really. Just the standard wake up, get ready, go to work. I don't really do anything outside of that box of productivity or anything, but the one thing I have started doing is a weekly thing. On Sundays, I plan out my week. And we do within the company an opening meeting on Monday, recapping what we're doing this week, and then Friday, whether we achieved it and what were the roadblocks and how to get over those for the next week.
Brilliant.
So that's actually been ingrained in my personal life as well. It's been a good thing to add for myself.
Excellent. So you said though your meditation and your writing is more, do you do your meditation then sort of as and when you feel you need it, or is it just sort of slots in naturally, or?
There's times that I'll sit and do a dedicated meditation, but I know I need it if I can't, say I'm taking a plane somewhere or something, if I can't just sit quietly by myself for a couple minutes, I know I'm stressed out, and that's when I'll take the time to do it.
Yeah.
But most of the time, usually I'm pretty calm where I'm okay with just being by myself or whatever, and that's when I know I'm in a good headspace.
Yeah.
But if I'm feeling any sort of tension, that's when I know I need it. So it's not, I don't really have things as habits. I kind of just roll with the flow a little bit.
So you sort of listen to what your body's telling you and how you respond to stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And if it's like whether I'm going to go out a certain night or stay in, it's not because I made plans, but it's because I feel like it or I don't feel like it. Because I feel like if you're going to force yourself into something, then you're going to lose something else.
Well, because we can always think back to probably the best time you've had going out or meeting people, were sometimes those impromptu ones that you hadn't planned, but it felt right and you just went with it.
Exactly. So I'm really, really feel oriented. I don't like to structure things too much.
Thanks again for your time, and I will keep you updated on what's going on and keep you in the loop. And I will keep my eyes out now for more stuff from you and all this new equipment.
Great.
Hopefully I don't break anything, so I have to use your equipment, but I'd like to see it around sometime.
Great, thanks.
Right, you have a good day, okay?
You too.
Thank you very much, Partha. Take it easy, bye.